Welcome back to Fresh Faces New Ideas. My name is David. If you like the channel, please like and subscribe so you can stay up to date to all the videos and all the stuff that I do, and follow me on Twitter at Faces Ideas. Now, this video we're going to talk about Joe Manchin. He recently had an interview where he had more statements about the filibuster. So we're going to discuss those statements and see if Joe Manchin is really helping the problem get any better, or if there's any other way for him to go about this than the way he currently is. Let's talk about Joe Manchin. Now, Joe Manchin recently came out against the filibuster. He said, "I will not do anything to weaken it because I want bipartisanship." So let's go look at some of his quotes, because he has one quote that is so egregious. I thought it would have been said by a Republican how dumb it was, because there are, and we're gonna go to some of the dumb Republican quotes and some other things, but let's go see what Joe Manchin had to say. All right, this is not. I'll go to that next. All right. So here, Joe Manchin, he's talking about voting reform. This is just a snippet of what he said. The only thing I would caution anybody and everybody is that we had an insurrection on January 6th because of voting, right? And a lack of trust in voting. We should not at all attempt to do anything that would create more distrust and division. Now, the overall statement he was making was that any voting rights, any voting legislation should appeal to Trump supporters. Now, let's talk about how dumb this statement is. The January 6th insurrection was not because of voting. The January 6th insurrection was because these people were lied to for months by the president, by their governors, by their legislators, by the Fox News, by OAN, by Mike Lindell. They were lied to about voter fraud. And you know what came of this? Nothing, because they were lying. They had 60 plus court cases. They won one. What did that court case do? They could go stand 4 feet closer. It had no impact. And these were not just Obama judges. These were Trump judges. These were Bush judges. Every single person. This was his Supreme Court with three Supreme Courts, with Gorsuch, with Kavanaugh, with Amy Coney Barrett. They threw it out. Dominion sued Sidney Powell, who was considered the Kraken and one of the big people pushing the big lie. Remember, she was advocating with Michael Flynn in front of Donald Trump to declare martial law so she could take a look at the Dominion voting and prove it. Dominion sued her. Her legal defense was, no reasonable person can take the things that I say seriously. That's her legal defense. It was the same legal defense as Dr. Carlson used a couple years ago. Okay? So, who else lied about this? Well, we got Dan Patrick here. No, hold on. This is all right. So, Dan Patrick is the lieutenant governor of Texas. Dan Patrick, if you don't happen to remember him from Fox News, was the jackass who went on to Fox News and said, some things are more important than living. You know, like the economy and making sure grandma dies so that I can keep my economy going. This is who Dan Patrick is. Now, Dan Patrick was pushing voter fraud. He offered an $1 million reward for evidence of voter fraud of the November 6th election. All right? So, since in order for Joe Biden to have won or lost, to win this election based on their lies about voter fraud, there would have to have been somewhere between 40,000 and 7 million votes. Because the 40,000 was how many votes basically spread across the states that he won. They gave him the Electoral College, and 7 million is how many more popular votes he got. Okay? There would have to, which would be an order of magnitude somewhere between 40 and 7,000 times more than all of the voter fraud found in the last 50 years in this one election. The same election that the Donald Trump Department of Homeland Security said was the most secure election in history. Okay? So, in response to Dan Patrick's $1 million reward claim, John Fetterman, who is the governor of Pennsylvania, seized on this. There's 3 people. This is just the first one. In Pennsylvania, who have been charged with voter fraud. 2 of them have been convicted. They were all Republicans. Almost all the voter fraud that was found in 2020 was Republicans. Pretty much all of it. So here's his response. Hey, Governor Patrick, it's your counterpart in Pennsylvania. I like to collect your handsome reward for reporting voter fraud. I got a dude in 40 Fort, PA, who tried to have his dead mom vote for Trump. Now, somebody actually asked Dan Patrick about this recently. I couldn't find the clip. And his response was, I don't answer stupid questions. Well, Dan Patrick, this is not a stupid question. You owe him $1 million because you pushed a big lie. Now, back to Joe Manchin. Because, why won't you close? There we go. Anyway. So, now that we've proved Joe Manchin here is basically siding with the people who are lying, we have to go into the bigger issue. Joe Manchin's refusal to do anything about the filibuster. He's not the only one. Kristen Sinema is the other one. They're the 2 main ones. Now, here is what, if I was the Joe Biden administration, I would tell Joe Manchin. Joe, I understand you believe that we need to have compromise. The Republicans have outright said, I will not vote for this bill regardless of what's in this. You go find me 10 Republicans. You and Kristen find me 10 Republicans who will vote for this bill or willing to, in good faith, compromise. Because what happened during the American Rescue Plan? There was 10 senators who came to the White House and they gave him a garbage bill. It was 1/3 the size. And then when they were putting amendments in, some of their amendments made it. And what happened? None of them voted for it. This was the same thing that happened during Obamacare. Republicans will not, in good faith, negotiate. They will not. They approved it over and over again. And people are saying, oh, you're being too harsh on them. Your actions dictate how people think about you. Your actions have proven over and over again that you will not do the right thing for the American people. That's just the way it is. That's just how it's been. That's just what's going on there. That's just how the Republican Party has worked for so long. So, if you truly believe that Joe Manchin, you believe that there should be bipartisanship, go find me 10 Republicans. And if you can't, here's the compromise. We'll move to a talking filibuster. We will move to the delayed filibuster that I talked about in my other filibuster video. The one that says, okay, here's, after X amount of days, you need 50 votes or 55 votes. You need 57 votes. You need 50 votes. Eventually, after like a week of arguing over this, okay? And that's what we'll do. This way, you'll get your compromise, but they will not do it. And Joe Biden was right about this. He says this. We have a video for this. We cannot do nothing about this. If you want to compromise, we'll discuss it, but it has to be good faith compromise. If you want to not compromise, if you want to just have a woefully inaccurate and a woefully underrepresented and an ineffective bill, that will not fly. And that's the way you should look at it. We welcome compromise, but we're not gonna allow you just to compromise in bad faith. Okay? And Joe, this is on you. Because let's be clear about what things won't be passed because Joe Manchin refused to get rid of this filibuster. H.R. 1. H.R. 1 is the For the People's Act. That's the Voting Rights Act. That will expand voting rights. It will allow for the public financing of elections instead of private financing of elections. It will just make it easier to vote and will allow more people to be part of the democracy. It will also un-gerrymander districts. So what it would ultimately do is say that if you're in a district that's going to be gerrymandered, all districts are going to be drawn up by a nonpartisan third party. Instead of whoever's in charge gets to draw whatever districts they like. This is how we end up with Congress people who hold power indefinitely. Perfect example is this: Matt Gaetz and Marjorie Taylor Greene. Matt Gaetz, even if somehow, miraculously, it turns out that all of the reporting, that all of the Venmo transactions, because apparently he paid for prostitution, allegedly, through Venmo, all of these other things that he has done, and all of the stuff that tied him to Joel Greenberg, who just is about to make a plea deal, All of that doesn't get him convicted or under investigation, or not under investigation, an indictment, and cause him to step down. Matt Gaetz would win in his district. Marjorie Taylor Greene, who literally is the least effective congressperson ever, because she is incapable of being in any committees, because she is a lunatic and got thrown off of her committees because, among other things, being QAnon. She was thrown off of her committees for advocating violence against the people she works with, most including putting a bullet in Nancy Pelosi's head and advocating for the January 6th insurrection. She is incapable of passing any bills. All she was able to do was basically try to shut down Congress for a couple days. Somehow, her district made her raise the most amount of money in any first-term congressperson ever. This woman literally cannot do anything. She doesn't understand most of what's going on in the country. She's woefully unintelligent. And she is a conspiracy theorist. And she raised the most amount of money. So by ungerrymandering districts like this, we won't have people who are just so crazy, but as long as they have the right letter next to their name, they will be in office indefinitely. So that won't happen. What else won't happen? We won't get any type of gun reform. Joe Manchin says he wants to do something from 2013 that he was pushing. We're in 2021, Joe. I'm going to show you a lot of data. Gun violence has gotten pretty bad in America. It is. Your 2013 thing is not going to help. There was two bills. It was a background check and to close the Charleston loophole. Why is it called the Charleston loophole? Because the guy who shot up a church in Charleston was able to use it to shoot up a church from getting that firearm. So that's what happened there. What else? What else would get blocked by Joe Manchin? Any expansion of healthcare? Any expansion for civil rights? That's all blocked. None of the Republicans will not do any type of immigration reform. Will not happen. It just won't. And those are the things Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema are blocking. So the answer is, you go find them. Otherwise, sit down, shut the hell up, and let us do what we have to do in order to help the American people. And I don't care that you're in this state, so you have to appear to be pushing back against against the left. Because look, we're not really liberal party even then. We're still pretty center right party. But the idea that blocking Congress from doing anything is a more effective strategy for you than you being able to say, oh, look, I stopped them from passing any bills. That's what you sent me there to do for. I couldn't help you because I had to take, bipartisanship that they refused to say. They told me to my face, we're not going to work with you. But I had to keep trying for bipartisanship, and I wouldn't allow any bills that you find popular that will help you. West Virginia is one of the poorest states in the country. You got to do something for your constituents, Joe, if you want to stay reelected. And the answer is not absolutely nothing. Thanks for watching. If you like this content, please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and that'll keep you up to date on all my stuff. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.